Backyard Professor Chess videos. I apologize for the long delay. I'm going to try to get more chess videos up. I know I said that last time too. And I haven't forgot my Bobby Fischer series either. I still have full intention of going all the way through those. First, I want to say something just for your benefit. Katie Cross, my daughter, has written a series of fantasy novels, best-selling fantasy novels, the Network series. This is Miss Mabel's School for Girls. This one is The High Priestess's Daughter. Look her up on Amazon if you want pleasant, wonderful afternoon reading or rainy day reading. This is The War of the Networks. Katie Cross. You can find her at www.kcrosswriting.com. Fantastic series of books. Antebellum Rising and the Isadora interviews. She has some new materials out that I haven't had a chance to purchase yet. She writes faster than I read, man. It's wonderful to have a daughter who outdoes you in every way. So I'm a very fortunate father. Now then, I'm also fortunate in that I have a fantastic chess game to share with you. Truly. This is Jurovish and Mestrovish. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce those. They're Russian names. So I apologize to those two, although they're probably both dead by now. This was done in 1966. We are going to see the dragon. Yeah, let's do a Sicilian dragon, shall we? We love the Sicilian dragon. Knight F and D6. This is a beautiful, obvious, simple dragon opening that's not so simple because it can lead into some tremendous complications, which this game does do. And then, of course, he retakes with the knight, and now he will pull his knight out, which is a very proper move. And then he moves his king up to E2. Yeah, I'm kidding. Come on, lighten up. I just wanted to see if you're paying attention, and you are. So, no, he does properly do the knight to C3 and knight C6. And now we continue with our bringing the pieces out in the dragon. You always want to make sure you develop properly. Now look, he's going to grab this long diagonal. Okay? So white is also going to prepare to castle. So now black has the option to castle with the fianchetto, and white is continuing his development plus maintaining his center, which is always a good way to do it. Black says, let's go ahead and get the castle. Now, interestingly, white indicates that he wants to castle queenside instead of kingside. So this is going to be a spectacular battle, and instantly notice the trigger. Notice the trigger. He pulls his queen so that he clears his queenside, and he immediately begins operations. He doesn't even flinch, bat an eye, or hesitate. That's a cool little lesson to know. And I know, I say that every game because with the good players, it happens every game. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just showing you good chess, right? So this is a very, very important move for black to do. At least get in position to where you have power. And typical, and I know we hear this said and again, and you're going to hear it all the time when you castle opposite sides. This means this is not going to be a defensive game. This is going to be slash dash attack, but don't leave yourself too vulnerable, right? And again, the trigger. He's castled queenside, so black begins to shift his material over to, guess where? The queen side. Fundamentally so. That's just how you do it. The more pieces. Look also what this did. Not only is he going to give himself a chance to come and get involved, it opened up this long diagonal for that bishop. And that bishop, the fianchetto bishop's a great guardian of his king. It's also a fabulous offensive player. So this does two things at one time. Just something simple and obvious to 99% of us, but it's worth repeating. The moment he castled queenside, you can see black starting to focus on that side. First he bumps his pawn, and now he starts bringing his pieces over. Doesn't Mickey Mouse around. Oh, you're going to go queenside? I'm coming after you. So white, rather than go on the defensive at this point, yes, as white, you can see what black's doing, but you also need to get hopping. Yeah, right. First, one more defensive measure is how white is thinking. And now knight c to e5. Notice how he does centralize the knight, but that knight wants to get to the queen side. He will make it so that he doesn't leave any piece out, and this is the shortest way to get to the queen side for both of those knights. So he is, yes, he's taking time to manipulate some pieces. No, he's not fully developed, but he's going to make sure he gets over to the queen side. Correct? Well, I'll put it this way. Correct. Yeah. So, he's going to drop. The bishop got tickled. He's going to drop the bishop. He's going to try to maintain. That bishop has a great diagonal too, right toward black king, yeah? So keep that piece. Don't be swapping it off. No, that won't work. Here we go. Knight b6. So he is manipulating things over to the queen side, and aha, g4, yes. So is white. So here comes white. So now it's a race. We've seen this theme before, but it is always a race to get to the king. Here, in these kind of games, when the opposite castling on opposite sides, it is attack mode. That's the instant switch. Bling! Oh, okay, this game I'm going to attack like crazy. That's what it needs to tell you, right? And there's usually pretty good fireworks with these kind of games, which is always quite fun. Okay, here comes another bishop, and now white puts a beautiful central knight on the post. Not as a permanent post, but he's also coming at him. Properly so. Okay, so now we're going to have a fight. Here we go. Here we come. Look at the beautiful coordination of the black knights. This is impressive how he does this. It really is a well done coordination. He's just gently, and I say gently, but actually he is speedily coming into the white side in a coordinated fashion for the moment. Yeah, that's very nice to see. Because now white is forced to move, and yeah, man, if you didn't see that as the next move, the psychology here is attack, attack, attack. And so, and it's really wonderful since he doesn't need those pawns on that side. Push them and use them as battering rams, use them to disrupt your opponent's side, and this is precisely what white is also doing, right? The question is, who gets there soon? Who gets there faster? Who gets there first? This is very, very important. Now, where is he? Here comes white. Yeah, he's got the support of his pawns behind him. He's going to pull his pieces in, and he's going to start coming at him also. So this is typical chess when you castle on opposite sides. So here we go. Rook is going to come to e8. He's now, see, yes, he's manipulated his knights. They're in a superb position, and now he can proceed with his development because white just appears, maybe just one move too, but the word sluggish doesn't give it the proper connotation, but that's close. Less speedy, perhaps. I mean, white is not dawdling and making silly moves, but he just doesn't quite yet seem to be there, right? And not in as coordinated a fashion. And he is going to give it everything he's got, though. Yeah, pull the rook in, because these pawns are going to become battering rams, and it's always sensational to have a rook behind them when you go after the king. So that's not just a silly move. That is necessary to get all the pieces in, and then here comes his other rook on a semi-open file directly across from the king. If you ever have a chance, truly, I know I say this a lot too, but that's because we see a lot in really excellent chess games. If you have the opportunity to put your rook across from the opponent's king, don't worry about how much material is in between you both. Put that rook across from the king. That's always a really good move. It develops his rook. It also gives him a chance to start throwing battering rams, because white has bumped his pawn, so there's a chance to break this up. His knight is in beautiful position, and his other knight has a beautiful follow-up. So and he's still got this wonderful diagonal. So it just still appears that black has the better option. Let's see if I'm reading this correctly. Of course, then the good news is I played through the game a few times. However, I could be fooling you. Because now look, here comes white. So it's a battle. It's a battle. And black will bring his knight back down. That, yes, it removes the knight from the center. This is true. But the battle is not going to be in the center, so it's all okay. In some respects, the pawn push by white actually helped black take the moment to put his knights in even a better position against the white king side. So this is going to be real interesting to see what happens. Now the knight will take the pawn. Okay. Okay. He got rid of one battering ram, right? That's the idea here. Is he goes, okay, man, now comes the shock. Kablam. Told you he had that long diagonal, and he uses it. Check. And you say, well, okay, but the bishop, isn't he the guardian of the king? Well, yes, under an attack, but the king's not being attacked. See that? Black's not on the defense here. So it's okay. Use that offensive weapon. And you say, well, it's a sacrifice. It is. It is a sacrifice, but it's cracking the castle king open. So it's all good. This is how we can't, sometimes you can't think of just material. You really have to throw stuff out there because you want to change up the opponent's position. Open that king up, so an attack. Because you do have two really good knights on this side, and your queen can really bump in here easy, right? So it's all good. Yeah, he loses the defender. It doesn't matter. He's on offense. So I just want to point that out, and then the king comes to b1. It's a beautiful coordination between the knights and the bishop here. And now the knight will take a3 check. Now we begin to see, oh gosh, he didn't sacrifice the bishop. He's going to sacrifice the knight. Very interesting maneuver. Here comes black, and he's coming like a mad hornet. Now this is really interesting. And king will take the bit. I said sacrifice the knight. I meant the bishop. Good grief. King takes b2, and now knight takes the b5. So Black has eliminated a defender of the white king and cracked his side. His king is nowhere near under attack. So that's why it was worth sacrificing that bishop to open up the white king side. Kind of interesting how that all coordinates. Queen to f2. He's going to try to get his queen involved. And here come the knights. Very nice fork on the white knight and the white bishop. So he's going to have to make him make a decision. Black is making white make a decision. But there's a real interesting edge here that we want to see here. Knight will take the b4, of course. The knight will take the knight. And the pawn will take the knight. So he lost the two black battering ram pawns, but he has cracked the white king open. So this is becoming quite the game. And white has not forgotten that the race is to get into an attack. Well, when you see this, he has had too many pawn moves in order to break open the king side. Yeah. It just doesn't inspire confidence in us that white's going to get there anytime soon, and black has already accomplished his goal. It just seems like that the whole game, doesn't it? White just isn't quite there yet. Well, he's still not quite there. But that doesn't mean you can't try. You have to do something like that. It's superior, honest. I mean, your opponent could flub up. Your opponent could make a bad move. It is always superior to carry forward your attack rather than come back on defense and try to huddle around your king, because then you lose the initiative. Yeah? One false move by black and white can really spring for action. Yeah? He still appears to be preparing for it, is what I'm saying. And it's too bad, because here comes black. Queen a5, and now you can see, oh wow. Wow, this is coming on hard. So, don't count white out though. The rooks can be very active, very deadly, not only on the open files or semi-open files, but also on the rows. And so he's going to give him everything he's got, and then there is the shot. Kablam! That move got 2 exclamation points. The theme attack, of course, but the white queen is just not on the right diagonal, is she? Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference with the pieces. The black queen versus the white queen. The black is obviously better. Well, you can do the same thing with the knight. And that pawn really seals the deal, that pawn push. Because the queen and the knight is better coordinated than the queen and the bishop up here. That bishop can't do anything hardly. So there is still no attack for white. Yeah? Well, the rook has to take the b3, of course. I mean, come on. You got it. That's why you bumped that rook. Yes, definitely. Now we see white playing defense. It's real interesting how this works, yeah. Knight c3. Oh, wow. Here we go, man. Yay. Well, the rook will come to a3 to try to get... Now, it's really interesting to notice. Don't forget that he has put his rook on the c file. And true, it's a semi-open file, but what a base, what a support for an attack, yeah? The coordination with the rook, the queen, and the knight here is really something to watch. This is sensational. Watch! Queen e5. Now, there is an interesting move, because he's going to get a discovered check on the king. What do? If you move that king right now, you're simply wasting a move, because your cover has been blown. And the black has semi-open files to operate on with his rooks. Both of his rooks. He can spring those in really quick. So you know you're going to get a double check. You can't move your king right now. That's a waste of move. In other words, I'm saying black has a fabulous attack here. This is really impressive. Queen g3. Now, interesting. He does put the question to the queen. He also slides across, touching on that knight. Yeah. But it's too little too late. Because, again, like I said, this is a double check. So he's virtually forced to move the king. That's the power of double check, man. Artur Yusupov talks about that a lot in his chess course. So the king has to come down. And he comes to king 1. And now, queen b2 check. Just the cooperation, because of that pawn thrust to b3 to attack, the cooperation between the queen and the knights and the rooks is really impressive, isn't it? Don't forget this rook up here, man. That is really something else. So king has to come to d1, and now knight to c3 check again. Once again, the coordinating effort between the rook, the knight, and the queen of black is really fun to see. This is sensational. And of course, the rook must take that knight. Yeah, the rook will take the knight, and here comes the rook. That wonderful semi-open file, man. Now we get to see the coordination shift again between, we saw the bishop and the knight, yeah. Then we saw the queen and the knight, and now we get to see the queen and the rook. Black really does a great job here. At this point, the queen is in prize, right? Attacked, I should say. And it is at this point that the bishop finally wakes up and says, I have to do something. Yeah, so I may as well put check. Finally, white gets to the point of cracking open the king. Yeah, and you have to sacrifice a piece, probably one you can't afford to do, but it does attempt to regain the initiative. Something white has not had this entire game. It's all been black's game, hasn't it? Yeah, so the king takes, and then the pawn will take, check, and the king will take again. So yes, the king has been exposed, but there's not a lot of coordination that can occur between the diagonals of the bishop and the queen as compared to the file work of the black rook and the black queen. And this is what wins this game. It's really interesting how this works this way. He does one last attempt. He is now in position to attack, but black is one shoe ahead of the step shine. Darn it, man! Because now we can see, of course, take it. Now we take the pawn. King comes to e1, and now take the pawn. And what this does is it gives you the coordinated effect of, it depends on what direction the king goes. Here white resigned. Yeah, it depends on what direction the king goes. If he goes here, then this is simple. This is piece of cake. Then you just walk him over to the corner and checkmate him, right? If he goes here, then you've got your other rook on the open file for the checkmate. So this is a wonderful illustration, again, of when you castle opposite sides. That's the switch in your mind. Okay, this is going to be an attack game. And then do your very, very best. The key is the first one to the king the first one to the opponent's king usually has the better game of it, as we just saw. So that is a fun dragon. So anyway, thank you for watching my Backyard Professor Chess videos. Be good, do well, have fun, work hard, sleep well, and I will see you very soon with another Backyard Professor Chess video.